Welcome to the Virtual Ball Boys podcast. My name is Chris, and I am joined once again by my good friend, Matt.
Nothing's supposed to live forever, Chris. Nothing's supposed to last this long. The Chiefs won the game with all of their fame, and now we're left to sing the same old song. But if nothing's supposed to live forever, Chris, why are we the ones so cursed to see this dynasty go on when no other team has won till our new dad is Andy Reid?
I was not expecting the Punxsutawney Phil musical song from TikTok to be the song.
Credit to Olive Songs 11 on TikTok.
Yes, 100%, and to everyone who has ended up collaborating with it with their own duet versions and stuff since then. It's been permanently stuck, I think, in the collective minds of us two and Kelsey.
Oh my god, it's so fucking
good. The last 2 weeks or however long
you were expecting Taylor Swift, weren't you?
I was expecting our dad to be Taylor Swift this time.
Oh,
around.
Okay, that's fair.
Not the song.
At one point, I was gonna do since Travis Kelce was dad, I was gonna make Taylor Swift his mom.
Right, yeah.
Tied in, but
no, I'm glad you chose Andy Reid too, because I was actually talking to Kelsey last night about Andy Reid and how much I just like. Everything else about the Chiefs, you're just like, whatever. But then you remember Andy Reid. I'm like, yeah, I'm really happy for him. Yeah, I'm really happy for him, man.
Yeah.
The other thing was I thought the song, I thought the next move, the lateral move from last year when the Kansas City won, because you chose a Kansas song and you did,
of course,
"Carry On My Wayward Son."
Right.
I thought you were gonna do "Dust in the Wind." I thought that was gonna that would have fit the mood after the season. But yeah. Before we get into anything else, just to be very serious for a moment, we are recording this on the afternoon of Wednesday. We are in the middle of, unfortunately, the Chiefs. Spoiler alert. Chiefs won the Super Bowl. I mean, you fucking probably know that already. Chiefs had their parade today. Unfortunately, a shooting occurred during that parade. I believe one person, unfortunately, passed or was killed, and there was other injuries as well. We do not know more about what has happened. It is a developing situation. So just want to front load that out of the gate.
Right.
Matt, I mean, it just to, we don't have to talk long on it. It is like the most American thing, huh? For this to happen.
Is.
But our thoughts, and obviously everything is with people who were affected by this, and hopefully, know that there won't be more casualties. And whoever did it was caught. But yeah, the fucking world that we live in sure is amazing. Anyways, we'll move on for that to more positive stuff going on. So really today's episode is just going to be a recap, a rehash of everything that has occurred in the last week. It is going to be a kind of going over the Super Bowl itself. We'll go over our commercial draft. We'll go over the awards that were given out on Thursday of last week. We are also going to do our last VBBFL team as well. Close that out for the season. And some other miscellaneous things that we have planned as well. But yeah, let's just dive right into it, Matt. The Super Bowl happened, and it was, I would say, for about the first 3 quarters, a pretty middling game. It was a game.
Yeah.
It was a very defensive game. I think both defenses overall played relatively well. And then the basically the team to break out of not having scored a touchdown was the 49ers, who ended up scoring a great touchdown on a McCaffrey. I think it was McCaffrey. Was that the one that Juwan Jennings threw the ball to McCaffrey, or was that another player?
Yeah, that was the one.
Yeah. So that was the play that ended up breaking it up. And I will say Juwan Jennings, who I remember, if this is the right player, I'm not sure. That name sounds so familiar because I believe he was a Tennessee player.
He was.
Who caught a Hail Mary at the end of a Georgia-Tennessee game.
Uh-huh.
And that I remember hearing Vern Lundquist's voice back when he was doing SEC on CBS, just saying Juwan Jennings like over and over again. So I was just like, oh wait, is that the same Juwan Jennings? I'll have to look into it. But
well, he is from Tennessee, so
yes. All right, so that's probably him. But yeah, but he was looking to be the MVP.
He would have been the MVP of 49ers.
Yeah, like he ended up later in the game scoring another touchdown. Like he willed himself into the end zone. It was a great play. I think the story of the game, Matt, overall though, was that it was a game where a lot of the top receivers for both teams had to be shut down. And don't get me wrong, like Travis Kelce had his moments, and I think the running backs had their moments as well, McCaffrey and Isaiah Pacheco. But you did have to have a Juwan Jennings step up for the 49ers, and you needed a McCole Hardman, who was not even on the Chiefs earlier in the year, then got traded from the Jets back to the Chiefs when things were not working out in New York. Having to step up, and Ray McLeod and Chris Conley, who is like Chris Conley is the name I think of when I think of obscure wide receiver that I've known since I first started watching football. The guy, like, that name just like resonates. It's like, oh yeah, he was like a former Chief, and then was a Jaguar for a short time, and then he bounced around. But so that all those names ended up showing up more than a George Kittle would, or like a Rasheed Rice did. And so it was a really fascinating game, and it played out like you would have seen any other Chiefs game did, where it played out like the Super Bowl in 2019, where the 49ers went up big, and then the Chiefs fought back, got back into it. Then there was once the Chiefs took the lead again, the 49ers marched down the field, got a touchdown, so momentum was not like just completely swaying in the Chiefs' favor at that point. They get the touchdown. They did not get the extra point, though, so it was a 3-point game, which allowed the Chiefs to then march down, get into kicking rage, kick the field goal, and then we went to overtime. And this is the second overtime ever in the Super Bowl, and the other one being another Kyle Shanahan coached game. But this went to overtime. It was the first time that the new overtime rules were put into place for the playoffs, which essentially allowed both teams to have a possession guaranteed no matter what. Meaning that if the 49ers marched down, got a touchdown, the Chiefs could then go down, get a touchdown as well, and then go into sudden death from there. The 49ers won the coin toss. They say, all right, we're going to receive, which is what most teams would say at the start of the overtime in the normal rules, which is when it was a touchdown would win the game no matter what. And so the 49ers tried their best. They started moving the ball down. Then their drive stalls. They do at the very least kick a field goal. And then the ball goes back to the Chiefs, in which they start moving the ball, and it just, in this drive, Matt, I was just like, this is the beginning of the end here for the 49ers, because they were gassed. They had played so well up until a certain point, and then there's just open holes constantly, and Mahomes was taking particularly advantage of them running the ball when necessary. And the closing play happened in the final seconds of the first overtime, which there was some confusion as to why the Chiefs were not calling a timeout, because they thought that maybe people were thinking that when the time hit 0 that the 49ers would automatically win. I think that with the way the rules are, that would not have been the case. They would have gone to a second quarter, and the Chiefs would have to finish their drive before the overtime was considered over.
Gotcha.
From my understanding. And so that's why there was no timeout call. They were comfortable with just moving it on. It didn't matter, because ultimately the final play was Patrick Mahomes rolling to his right, throwing the touchdown to an open Mecole Hardman. He gets the touchdown, and that was it. And that was how the Chiefs ended up winning the game. It was an incredible defensive effort, completely shutting down Kittle and Stebo, and just and not having anyone really the much lesser known players on the 49ers be the ones to try to get their team out of sticky situations. It just could not work out for them. And then the Chiefs offense, as they have done every single year when things look rough, or every single game, at least in the playoffs, where it looks rough, they're having a bad time, and then they just turn it on for the most important part of the game, and they win. And they did again. And this is the first time since the early 2000s that we have a repeat Super Bowl champion. I imagine that you were not happy with what happened, considering you were definitely going into this rooting hard for the 49ers.
I was like, the game wasn't that good for a lot of it, but then when it finally looked like at the end, like that the 49ers were going to have a chance to like take it and win it, and were like getting that offense going again against the Chiefs' great defense, I was getting really hopeful. I was getting really into it, and it was only at the end that I was really getting into it. And that was just enough for me to feel really sad after.
Because once you get in, then the sadness consumes once it just does not go your way. Yeah. It was weird. I felt like the way I experienced the game is that having not the biggest rooting interest for the 49ers, even though I would say between the two teams, I wanted the 49ers to win. I guess I did not feel much about the whole game. Like, it was just kind of however it was going to end, if the Chiefs ended up winning. I wasn't going to be super upset by it, because as you texted me, and as I had mentioned before on the podcast, this team's inevitable.
It's inevitable.
They're just, sometimes you think they're done, and they're gonna come right back. And so for me, I kind of, my experience with the game just ended up being, I enjoyed my time hanging out with family and watching the various aspects of what makes the Super Bowl special. But I'm bummed that the Chiefs won. I'm not as devastated as I was maybe after like the conference championship Sunday. Like, to me,
right,
that to me was the harder blow.
That's a good comparison, I think.
Yeah, like the conference champion was like, you lose the Ravens, who have the star in Lamar Jackson and this really fun storyline there, and then of course this Lions team who's never made it to the Super Bowl, losing both of them in that weekend, having the 49ers and Chiefs, like these two teams that have consistently, at least in the last few years, been either near the top or in the Super Bowl. That was just such a like death blow to me for the 2023 season. I still thought the game was interesting, and I still enjoyed it for just as a football fan perspective, but I mean, we're not gonna hide it here. We're pretty bummed about how things went.
Yeah, I think that this season legitimately, in my mind, improves if it's a Ravens-Lions Super Bowl.
It does. Absolutely.
But retroactively, it's like, it just, what's the point? If it ends in a Chiefs win, what's the point? What's the point of every other character development that happened all this time?
Yeah.
I watched too much fucking Survivor with like needing the winner to justify the rest of the season.
No, dude, I'm the same way, and I think that there is something to be said about, like, it's important to just enjoy the journey, not the destination. And I feel like with a lot of Super Bowls that I've watched, that is the case. Like, I enjoy it. There's so many times where I just end up enjoying the regular season more than the Super Bowl. I think that's more most football fans anyway.
I will say that for a fact. The fucking 2018 season, is a fantastic season of football. Super Bowl with dog shit.
Yeah, no, absolutely right. And so that's the thing. It's just like I think there is room for it to be like, we enjoy the journey, and I did enjoy the journey this year. Like, again, like, there were some really fun storylines and things to maybe even look forward to going into 2024, and like what's the future going to look like there. But yeah, it is still like, okay, I feel like where we were last year is where we are this year, and it does feel like there's just doesn't feel like there's a whole lot different there. I hope that, I like there's going to be, next year is going to be interesting, and then we're going to have a whole off season to talk about all the fascinating things. We've already talked about the head coaching changes. There's going to be a ton of free agent trades and things like that are going to make 2024 more interesting. And that's the stuff that I enjoy, and I enjoy the build up to the regular season and then going into the regular season. And I think I'm never going to take that feeling for granted, even if we get to this point again next year and we're watching the Chiefs potentially three-peat, which has never happened before, but would be fucking insane if they do it. Like,
if the Chiefs make the Super Bowl next year, I'm probably rooting for them just to see it happen. But
there's a chance.
Who they're against.
There's a chance, yeah.
There's a chance. They absolutely could.
Yeah.
It's astronomically rare, but this team could do it.
Right. It's we're in a dynasty now. Like, it was there, and that's just now the reality that we have to live in. But that's especially on the AFC side. The NFL is in the last 2 decades has not been able to avoid these repeat AFC champions, especially those who win a lot of Super Bowls. Like, it's constant. I always look over it and I'm like, we've literally had 12 of the 16 NFC teams make the Super Bowl, and like, I think only like 7 on the AFC side, and like, in the last like decade, it feels like it's just been the Patriots and Chiefs. Like, it's just
right. Yeah.
I mean, you had the Bengals, and that was great. That was a great year. But...
So the AFC for the past like 20 years or so has had one game of Joe Flacco, one game of Joe Burrow.
Yeah.
Every single other AFC quarterback: Tom Brady, Peyton Manning, Ben Roethlisberger, Patrick Mahomes.
Yeah.
Nobody else.
It's insane. It's absolutely wild. And I don't know what it is about the AFC that it just keeps on being in this position, but yeah, I don't know. I look to the rest of the AFC and I'm just like, well, I think the Ravens could be good next year. I think the Texans are on the rise. Like, the Dolphins might be able to correct some things. The Bills might still be relevant. And you do, and then the Bengals might be back and bounce back because Joe Burrow will be healthy again. So you do have like this little bit of hope that, maybe there will be some more friction on that side of things. We'll see. But as for 49ers, it's just been the story of the Shanahan experience, and like, the fact that he can't get over this hump is just, it's been brutal for him. Like, he had that 2016 Super Bowl was so long ago, when he where his offense kind of shut down and gave up the 28-3 lead. But there's just the fact that he has reached so close so many times in his tenure now, and now he has to go through yet another year of trying to get back to that point. Like, he can do it, but it's it's brutal. It's just it's a brutal career right now for him, where he's a very good coach, but he just can't get over the hump. And Purdy played well in the game, all things considered, and I think that shows that he's probably going to still remain there moving forward. But
yeah, I don't see why he wouldn't. The Chiefs defense has been so good. Steve Spagnuolo just got a contract extension, so
yeah. Spags with 4 Super Bowl titles as an assistant coach.
Yep.
One of those being with the Giants that knocked off the undefeated Patriots, and that he was the defensive coordinator of that team, and then these 3 Super Bowls with the Chiefs has just been just a great run for him as an assistant. And everyone's like, well, where is he? Why is he not a head coach? And I'm like, I get that, but I'm also like, I don't know, maybe he just feels comfortable in a coordinator role at this point. Who knows?
Yeah.
But
he's obviously having more success at it.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, he had like 3 years with the Rams, and Kevin Dimitroff, I think that's his last name. He's a front office guy for the Rams, who actually spoke out about how when Spags was the head coach of the Rams, like, that organization was a mess, and no good coach was going to come in and fix those issues. And so he basically tried to be like fully endorsing of the fact that like he deserved another shot, because it was our fault that he did not succeed. So yeah, we'll see. That'll be a storyline to follow. But for now, he's going to remain with the Chiefs. Speaking of defensive coordinators, though, 49ers did fire Steve Wilkes not a couple hours ago, which that's a brutal. Like,
I don't know if I agree with it.
Yeah, I get that this was your worst stretch.
Yeah,
with your defense, and it came at the worst possible time. But I don't know, man.
Guess what though? The Cousins curse is alive.
What's that? I forget what that is.
No team that has lost to Kirk Cousins has gone on to win the Super Bowl.
What the fuck? When did this come out of a thing? I have no idea about this.
Did I not send you the Cousins curse picture?
You might have, but I might have forgotten about it.
So no team that's lost to Kirk Cousins in the regular season has gone on to win the Super Bowl that year.
That's very good.
And the 49ers lost to the Vikings this year. I don't think it's to the Vikings specifically, it's to Kirk Cousins.
Sure. Yeah, that's wild. You know what? Like, people, I mean, I know, like I just said, that Brock Purdy should probably be back, and I think he will be. But it'd be funny if finally the union of Kyle Shanahan and Kirk Cousins takes fold, because since Cousins is a free agent this offseason. I don't know. We'll see.
I don't know. Justin Jefferson really wants Kirk Cousins back, so.
Yeah, I would imagine they get it done, but
yeah,
we'll see. Just to round out the Super Bowl talk, we have a question from a viewer. This viewer is named Matata Walsh. I believe I'm pronouncing that correctly. Matata Walsh. And this is a comment on the YouTube video here. He asks, what would be your guys' reaction if the NFL went full WWE and did dramatic entrances, surprise appearances, in parentheses like the Ravens pulling up at the Super Bowl, and overarching stories? What would be your reaction, and how successful do you think it would be?
So I love the question. I legitimately do.
Yeah.
I think that the stories that we get out of what actually happened, this is probably not the answer Matt's looking for. The stories that we get out of what actually happens are far more interesting than anything that fucking like corporate NFL could come up with.
I agree. Right. That was going to be my answer to this, because I love the idea of that, right?
Right.
But I look at it, and I look at WWE right now, and this is talking as someone who is just very much in the periphery, has people that talk about the WWE a lot in his feed, so I know very little. So I apologize if I get anything wrong for people who are wrestling fans. But I know that Roman Reigns has been like the main guy in WWE who has held like the belt for like years now, and it's because the WWE wants him to hold on to it. And for like years, people have been waiting for him to lose to someone, and he doesn't, and he keeps the belt.
Uh-huh.
But it's because WWE wants to like keep him as the champion, keep him as like the heel of the thing. And I'm like, so if the NFL were to do this, they would literally just have the Chiefs in the Super Bowl every fucking year.
Exactly, right. And that already happens.
Right. And they'll face the Cowboys every single year too, right? Like,
yeah.
Like, I mean, which is great for Cowboys fans because, granted, like they haven't been there, but in a while. But you know, it would be really, really fun. The idea of like, all right, Chiefs running out of the field, 49ers running out of the field, and then over the loudspeaker you hear like a lion's roar, and you just see Jared Goff running out with his team, like waving a flag, like, oh my god, it's Lions! They're gonna they're gonna take on the Chiefs. Like, there would be something really stupid and really silly about that. Like,
yeah,
I've been on the record of like, if the NFL is scripted, whatever. I don't think it is. I think it's too hard to fucking do that.
Yeah.
It's just like, you could say it's rigged and the refs are doing this and that, and Taylor Swift is mind controlling us with vaccines. I don't know, like, whatever you want to believe, fine. It's a fun product. It's enjoyable. I'm just gonna have the suspension of disbelief that it is all real and it is authentic. And like you said, Matt, I think the storylines are better because they are real, and they are these organizations all fighting to get to the top, be the top dog. So
exactly.
Yeah.
I have a surprise.
Yes.
Also from Matt J. Walsh.
Oh, okay.
He asked me to like read this blind. It's not totally blind. I did like get a like a bit of a sneak peek just to kind of see what the vibe was.
Yes.
But this is an article that he wanted me to read on the podcast, just to get reactions.
Sure. All right, hit me with it.
And according to him, this was written before the Super Bowl.
Okay.
Credit to evmagazine.com.
Okay.
Are you ready for me to talk for a really long time?
That's fine. Let's do it.
Could Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce influence a new baby boom in America? Could Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce's romance spark a new era of love and family? Taylor Swift is one of the most influential pop stars in the world. Everyone went crazy for instant cameras after T Swift released her Polaroid-fueled 2014 album in 1989. Teens were running to the nearest mall to buy red lipstick and two-piece bikinis. A couple of years later, Instagram added a feature to filter negative comments after the singer faced backlash on the platform. In the past 2 decades, the singer has built a cult following that watches and mirrors her every move, as if they live by the doctrine, what would Taylor Swift do? Which begs the question, what will Taylor's next move be, and will women follow suit? Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce marriage rumors. We've been bombarded with news about Taylor, Travis Kelce, and the NFL for weeks, and frankly, a lot of people are tired of it. Some sports fans are even begun to wonder if her relationship with the Kansas City Chiefs player is all PR. Yet, I don't think I've ever seen Taylor this happy with a man before. Even millions of fans this week witnessed the pop star change her lyrics to reference her new romance and walk off the stage to kiss Travis. Naturally, crazed fans speculate that Taylor and Travis will get married. Let's calm down, they just started dating. However, if they did, it would be America's royal wedding, though it likely won't be televised. So if Travis and Taylor get hitched, will more women get married? If they have kids, then will women want to have babies as well? Uncle Doomer on X, formerly Twitter, says his hilarious economic analysis. If Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce have a baby, it will usher in a new American baby boom, as millions of 25 to 35-year-olds will follow suit. Women follow suit, he wrote. Not far behind will be a manufacturing, a housing boom, a tremendous lifestyle shift for millions of newly minted families, a new golden era for America. Just how accurate is this conjecture, though? Could Travis and Taylor influence a baby boom? First, let me introduce you to a book called The Fourth Turning, What Cycles of History Tell Us About America's Next Rendezvous with Destiny. According to historians William Strauss and Neil Howe, society operates in cycles. They believe that lifetimes, a period of roughly 80 years, can be divided into 4 phases called turnings. Each turning is 20 years, so you can think of them as a generation. The first turning is a high, everything is dandy, and there's strengthening of institutions and a weakening of individualism. The second is an awakening, a passionate era of spiritual upheaval. The third is the unraveling, a downcast era of strengthening individualism and weakening institutions. The last is a crisis, which is the turning we are currently in. No shit. Their theory coincides that everything that happened so far. Nearly 80 years ago, we had the baby boom in the first turning. Howard Strauss hypothesized that 2005 was when the fourth turning began, give or take, and 2008 was when the Great Recession occurred. So where am I going with this? Well, we're finally making our way out of the fourth turning. What?
No, I said please let us know where you're going with this.
We're finally making our way out of the fourth turning and going into the first turning of the high. Doubtful. That means by 2026 we'll see a shift in our society. It may mirror the baby boom, or it may not. If it does, the economy will improve and people will likely start building families again as optimism prevails. It will take a while for men and women to build wealth, especially after the state of our current market and inflation. A lot of women are deciding not to have babies because it's too expensive, and they have to worry about making ends meet. Until these issues get situated, the baby boom won't happen anytime soon. It will take years after 2026 at least. Then why did you fucking make this article? But that's not to say Taylor and Travis will have zero influence. I actually think their hypothetical marriage could lead to an increase in men and women seeking healthy partnerships rather than quick flings. Should Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce spark a baby boom, we might as well dub the resulting generation Generation T.
Oh, fuck. Is that that's how it ends?
That's how it ends. So I liked the aspect of like talking about like the different generations and the turnings, because I can definitely see that as like a historical philosophy, and I would agree that with a lot of that part of the article.
Sure. I mean, listen, I'm not blind enough to realize that if Taylor Swift does something like get pregnant with Travis Kelce's baby, that there are many Swifties out there that would want to be like, I want to also get pregnant, so my child
with Travis Kelce's baby.
With Travis Kelce's baby. Hey, people already feel like that, but it would even be more so. Yeah, I'm kind of happy that we're now going to take a break from that storyline.
Yeah.
I wish them the best. I hope that the relationship continues. Maybe by September it's already done with, for all we know. Yeah. Yeah, I'm good. I'm good on it. I also don't think it was like remotely as obnoxious on the broadcast that their whole relationship. Like, I don't think so anyway.
It's really not.
It was fine. Bad. It was fine. Nickelodeon lead into it maybe a little bit more, but that's because it's appealing to kids and kids like Taylor Swift. So like, I mean, that's fine. The fact that they had a graphic up of showing Travis Kelce saying Taylor Swift's boyfriend is very good. It's objectively funny. Yeah. Which, speaking of, I'm going to transition now. Matt, I feel like I made a mistake not watching the Nickelodeon feed of this Super Bowl. It was very good from what I got clips of it. Just so many. Like, I love that they have Tom Kenny and Bill Fagerbach, I think is his name, basically in the booth with them, but as like VTubers. Like, I think it's very well done, like how they do it, the broadcast. Like, the fact that they're live in the studio with them is very, very good. And there was a lot of highlights from it. Having watched the clip show that they had on the NFL YouTube channel, they had, they showed at one point, like, Larry the Lobster was like talking to the booth, running around the field. Sandy Cheeks was the sideline reporter. Dora was the rules expert, and they just had so many. SpongeBob and Patrick, as a collective, just had some very good one-liners. One that was not in the NFL clip show, which I was not surprised by any means, was a clip that I ended up saying you, Matt, over Twitter. But it was the fact that SpongeBob took a dig at Leonardo DiCaprio dating young
which is wild,
which is fucking insane and very good.
It's so funny. It makes me very happy that I don't know, Tom Kenny had the foresight to like make just the right level of
right
joke.
Not to get too inappropriate, but he was also just right there.
the fact that was also on his mind, and just like he couldn't help himself.
Yeah, it was very good. It's very good. But
Yeah.
I love Tom Kenny. Don't get me wrong. He was great in the booth. But really, it's Bill Fagerbach and being Patrick Star. Like Patrick in the booth is just it's so funny. It's so
so good.
He just has such good comedic timing. He gets into characters so well while watching football, and just being Patrick Star watching him. It was great. I really highly recommend anyone go and watch the clips, because it was good. Oh, they had Plankton like invade the field multiple times,
yeah,
and like dump like chum on the fans in the stands, which they weren't really there. They cut to them, and it looked like just generic actors that they had dumped chum on.
Oh yeah.
But it was still the whole show of it was just very good.
It sounds so much better produced than how soulless Disney's Toy Story.
Oh my god, was. Yeah, man! Like it has so much personality. If you're a fan of SpongeBob, or just have kids in general, like that was probably the best. It was probably the better broadcast of the two,
right?
Because I'll say, like, from my perspective, like, I do love Jim Nantz as a broadcaster. He's very good at play-by-play. But I think Tony Romo has run his course. And the fact that, like, any good color commentator worth their salt would shut the fuck up after a game-winning touchdown. The fact that he kept on fucking talking when the Chiefs were celebrating. Like, I'm not saying like, oh, woe is the Chiefs or anything. But like, man, just give them that moment. Like, it's so much better when you can listen to the scenes of the game when the celebration begins. And he just kept talking, and it's just he sometimes just does not know when to shut up, and it's annoying. And he has fallen from grace of yesteryear. Any thoughts on the halftime show? Did you like it?
It was good.
Yeah,
I need a lot at this point. Like, a lot of halftime shows just feel the same level of production.
Yeah,
like you have to go all the way back to fucking Katy Perry to find something that's like completely like fucking wild in the bad sense, right?
Yeah.
I thought that 50s was pretty good. I think that was my last like true standout of a Super Bowl halftime show.
Yeah, I liked Rihanna's last year a lot.
That was good, yeah.
But
I think she
nothing insane, but it was good.
Right, yeah. But you know, like nothing's ever going to be Prince,
right?
In recent years, so
right. And I also think like. I did not know a lot of Usher's discography. I know a couple of his songs, but really the only one that I really knew from him specifically that he ended up doing was Yeah. But that was it. But I also think that like when you as the headliner are not, because I think a lot of people were just complaining going into it, is like, Usher, really? Are we doing Usher? I think I had a feeling there was going to be a lot of celebrities showing up. And so Alicia Keys came in, saved the day a bit. Then you had Ludacris show up, and you had
her.
Yeah, you had her. You had Lil Jon. Like you had a couple people show up and sing some of their songs and be there up there with Usher. So, like, yeah, I don't think it was anywhere near the best Super Bowl show. I think the one that does stand out to me was the one that they had a couple years ago, which was like all like the big time rappers.
You know what? You're right. That one was good. That was.
I think that was the last
really
one.
One.
That was like really incredible. I was like, holy shit, this is great.
I retract my statement. That was good.
Yeah. As someone who is not, I would like to get into rap more, but I'm not, but I respect it, and like having like that, seeing that genre just be on that stage and have it be like this showcase of like all like these amazing rappers. It was like, okay, no, this is very, very cool.
Yeah.
But yeah, let's go over the commercial draft real quick. The winner of the commercial draft was none other than Kelsey, who pulls out the victory. There was a little bit of confusion on my part. That I I ended up since I got second place, so I would be the one that would have benefited from the controversy falling not in Kelsey's favor, but I screwed up the Squarespace situation. There was 2 ads that they uploaded for the Super Bowl. One appeared to have Martin Scorsese in it. That was, I think he was talking with, I think it was his daughter in it. And the other one was one about aliens. And so I looked at that. I was like, okay, those are 2 different commercials. Then the alien one played during the Super Bowl, and then Martin Scorsese showed up in it. And I was just kind of like, oh, wait, so are they like, so was that like 2 commercials of the same campaign? Like I egregiously mislabeled each commercial essentially. And so I just kind of gave her that commercial on that front. It wasn't the specific commercial that she picked, but it was just because of the circumstance around that commercial and how it was labeled that I was just kind of like, you know what? I'm going to give it to you because it was, I did not realize that both commercials had Martin Scorsese in it and both had to do with aliens. So I just, it was just a mistake on my part. But no, yeah, she had a very good run. And then I think I might have been one of the last people to get the first commercial. And then I ended up just having a very good run to get to second place. Matt, you finished third place. And then Anthony ultimately didn't even get the chance to win it because his picking the Bic Easy Reach commercial that did not air, even though it was on one of the fucking websites that said, "Here's a list of Super Bowl ads." I don't know. Media websites need to get their fucking shit together and pick out actual Super Bowl ads because you're gonna screw us over every single year because this always happens. But yeah, so Anthony got last place because of that. Even though he had a very good start to it, it ended up faltering. But yeah, so that's the commercial draft. Let's go over the awards.
Yeah.
We will start with Offensive Player of the Year was Christian McCaffrey, well deserved. Defensive Player of the Year, Myles Garrett. Apparently there was some hubbub about TJ Watt, like being upset about it.
Yeah, TJ Watt was really upset because on paper his stats were more impressive than Myles Garrett's were.
Sure.
But that doesn't take into account how often Garrett was double teamed and how much his presence on the defense affected the defense as a whole versus TJ Watt's effect on his defense.
Yeah.
So it's just looking at the looking at the stats.
Yeah.
Sure, TJ Watt technically outperformed Garrett, but
it's circumstantial and it's never going to be perfect. So
no, just maybe don't be a whiny baby about it.
Yeah. Offensive rookie was CJ Stroud.
Sure.
Yeah, that was expected. Will Anderson got a defensive rookie of the year.
Way to go, Texans.
We have 2 of the more controversial awards of the night. Coach of the year went to Kevin Stefanski. This was a tie, actually, for first place between Stefanski and DeMeco Ryans. And I think because Stefanski had more second place votes, that he ended up getting the bump to
if they tied in first place votes, then whoever had more second place, which makes sense.
It does make sense. And so that was that. However, a comeback player of the year. And by the way, like this is I think only like the second year where ranked voting is like a big part of the voting process.
Right.
Comeback player of the year went to Joe Flacco. But the controversy here was that the person who got the most first place votes was Damar Hamlin. But because a bunch of people who were voting did not put Damar Hamlin at all in their top 3, Joe Flacco, with the collective amount of votes that he had in first, second, and third place, he ended up pushing ahead and getting the comeback player of the year instead of Damar Hamlin. That one is like, all right, guys, like that's a bummer.
Yeah, that was a bummer.
And I think Joe Flacco felt weird about it too. So
Right, yeah. I saw the joke was that DeMar Hamlin got electoral colleged.
He did. That's a very good way to put it. Definitely.
Yep.
And the Hall of Fame class was announced, including modern day members Dwight Freeney, Devin Hester,
Woo!
Andre Johnson,
Yeah! Woo!
Julius Peppers, Patrick Willis, and I think two veteran or senior class members, Steve McMichael and Randy Gradishar, being revealed. You're wooing for Devin Hester here, I imagine.
Yeah. Devin Hester fucking rules.
Yeah. Both Devin Hester and Julius Peppers are former Bears.
Yeah.
Hester, of course, had the amazing play during the Super Bowl between the Bears and Colts, and really throughout his career has always been one of the better specialists in terms of returning footballs. Andre Johnson was a fun player to watch. Dwight Freeney was always a really good defensive player as well. And Patrick Willis, I didn't get to see too much of him before I started watching, but I know that he was a surprise retirement for the 49ers when he decided to hang it up. But he had been one of their very key players, so it's nice to see him get his due. And Julius Peppers, of course, was just an all-time great for multiple teams. Mainly the Panthers was his team.
Yeah, Panthers mainly. Bears was like his second half career, and then he went back to the Panthers after that.
Yeah, he was also the Packers too for a time.
I remember playing as Julius Peppers. Like, he was like the main player that I picked in like fucking Madden 07.
Nice. Excellent. Yeah. And then finally the Walter Payton Man of the Year was Cameron Hayward. Well deserved for him.
Hell yeah.
And a couple more things before we go. We're going to do now our VBBFL team number 8. And we teased this a couple weeks ago. But I am forcing my hand here. I decided just to reach in and find a city in Hawaii that we could represent in this league. So we're going to Pearl City, Hawaii. It is I think I forget what island it's on specifically. It says the location in Honolulu County, so I wonder if that is the island of Honolulu. But
does look like it.
Yeah, so this was just one of the lesser known talked about cities in the state. Now we'll basically try to come up with something that is that kind of fits the vibe of the area. And of course, there's so much you could do with seafood. Tuna's tuna's the most important fish in Hawaiian culture. Varieties include the skipjack tuna, the yellowfin tuna, and the albacore tuna.
One thing that I did just find that we might be able to do something with, because
Sure.
we only have one blue team so far.
Yeah, hit me with it.
Which is cool.
Blue Marlin, by the way, they do have
what?
Blue Marlin is also frequented here.
There you go. Oahu is known for having the longest rain shower in history, which lasted 200 consecutive days.
Ooh.
So
that's
pretty cool.
Yeah. There's also the mahi mahi. They actually call the mahi mahi the dolphin fish, which I've never heard of. But granted, I only know mahi mahi because of Animal Crossing. So thank you, Animal Crossing, for presenting me with culture.
Mahi mahi is the one fish that I've tried to cook myself. It did not go well.
Ooh. Interesting. What? How did you even obtain mahi mahi? Like
there was some in my supermarket.
Oh, all right, cool. I feel like whenever I think about local supermarkets that aren't like specifically like it for like one culture or not, like I always just feel like they have like the basic like seafood of like tuna, shrimp, and like I would not think they would have mahi mahi, but that's cool. I mean, I would love the idea of I think you're on the right track. We're kind of doing. I feel like storm, rain, like something along those lines. We could do something along along that like thought process.
I feel like if we want to combine the like find a good fish and use the word storm, I think that's a good combination. So storm.
I mean, I think
storm tuna, storm fish.
Yeah.
Can we make it a tuna?
Yeah, I mean, like, I think tuna storm was the one that I initially said. I think I like that a lot. You could do, I'm looking at the other ones that are here that, like tuna. It would be cool to go into the different variations of tuna. I just worried that that the name itself would get too wordy at that point.
I feel like the description of storm coming before the tuna, or coming before the fish, I think rolls off the tongue better.
Storm, like storm marlin, storm tuna,
even just
stormfish. Yeah, I mean stormfish is not a bad idea.
It has the same mouthfeel as stormfish.
Oh, that's good. That's a good thought.
Yeah, which is why I think it works. I think the best out of all of them.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, let's do it. I like the idea that the Pearl City Stormfish is what we're gonna land on here.
All one word.
Yes. And that is going to be our 8th team. So blue. And is
Definitely
there
blue?
Is there any color that we have not used a lot of? I would just throw it in here.
Yeah, let's see. Let's see. We've used red twice. We've used orange-ish twice. We've used green twice. Purple we already have with blue. Yellow we've used twice. Have we done a blue and brown team before?
No.
Yes, Nutfellas.
Nutfellas.
But that was more of a tan, I guess. So.
That was more of a tan. Yeah, I mean, like, I'm trying to think of what other you keep on. I said universally, you, not you specifically. We keep on doing the we had the 6 colors of the rainbow. Then we go right into like the black, brown, white, gray situation. Yeah. I'm trying to think if there's maybe a better.
We don't have a pink this year.
Ooh, like a blue and pink.
Yeah, it would have to be the like good shades, but like bisexual flag, blue pink.
I'm fine with that. Yeah.
Yeah, I think trans flag blue pink doesn't quite work for like stormfish specifically, but I can see bisexual stormfish.
Yeah, like it's bisexual stormfish.
Yeah.
That's our code. That's our the other name for this team. Because that's like deeper colors and I think you think of like a darker, stormier situation. You think of like much darker colors in that sense. So yeah, I think that works.
Yeah.
So there we go. That is the Pearl City Stormfish, and that is also going to be our last team, because we have now, across the multiple, across our 8 teams, we now have 4 that are perfect for the East Conference and 4 that are perfect for the West Conference. In the East, we have the Holland Strulops. We have the Havre de Gras Gloisters. We have the Hattiesburg Root Beers and the Arlington Heights. Oh, by the way, we didn't say this on air. We changed the Arlington Heights name to the Pepper Ponies.
Pepper Ponies.
The Arlington Heights Pepper Ponies.
Pepperoni.
And then finally the West Conference is the Roswell Mozzarellians, the Lincoln Meat Pockets, the McMinnville Yamlocks, and the Pearl City Stormfish. Is any of this subject to change? Maybe. Depends on how Walsh maybe handles if he's able to handle what we were going to present to him.
Yep.
But we're done on that front, and we're gonna send this to him next, and we're gonna try to get the ball rolling somewhat early this year. Try to see how much we can get done and prepared for going into. Really, we're looking if we are going to play. And I think we will. I think we'll do VBBFL this year. I ideally would probably be May, June would be nice to play the games out this year instead of July, August. Maybe if we have to June, July. But I'm happy with. I think that we're in a good pace right now where we have all the 8 teams. We just now need to create the art for it. Then we'll recruit everyone who wants to participate. We'll do our draft, and once we have the draft and we get everyone to do their stats, then we go from there. So we'll see. We'll see what happens. One last thing before we sign off, to close out our picks for the year, the predictions for the year. Matt, you and I finished the season. We finished the regular season. Matt, you ended up winning the regular season competition. I ended up winning the playoff competition. I ended up going 10-3 in my picks. You went 7-6. And I'm not going to try to rob any crowns away from people, but because of how I performed in the playoffs, I do have the better overall record for the season.
There you go.
Once I finished 171, 114, and Matt, you finished 169, 116. Again, you won the regular season. I'm not gonna. I will concede that for sure.
There you go.
But I did finish strong, and I can at least be proud on that front. In a year where we were tied going in, I feel like it's very fitting that we had as close of a competition as we did this year when it comes to picks. So I appreciate that side of it a lot. And so, yeah, good stuff. Folks, thank you all so much for taking in this season of Virtual Ball Boys. It's been a pleasure to do it, even though it ended up not being as great as a season as we'd like it to be. I think it still was one of my favorites in terms of what we were able to produce and do for the show. It was very, very fun. We are going to take a little bit of a hiatus. I think that we'll take the rest of February off. Then we'll come back maybe first full week of March to kind of talk about all the things that are going on in the off season. And if there are, I don't know exactly when we're going to really start to pick up VBBFL things on this podcast again. But again, we'll work behind the scenes, see what happens there. But for now, we're going to take a breather, and we'll return in March for all new episodes as we go into the off season. I'm very excited to see how everything unfolds. Matt, as always, thank you for being a great host every single year and providing your musical renditions at the beginning of these Super Bowl podcasts, even when it hurts deep down inside. But yes, anyways, thank you all so much for listening, and we'll see you in a couple of weeks.
Good night and good ball.